Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm just checking that the stream's working. Uh, had a few technical glitches getting on this morning. Well, I say this morning, it's this afternoon for where you are. But let me just check that the live is working and you can hear me okay because I'm streaming it on LinkedIn and I'm live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It works. I am live here from just outside New Orleans. So, hello, everybody. Please do talk in the chat. Let me know what you're saying in the chat because I can see the chat and it'd be great to hear from you, see where you're joining from. So, let me know where you're joining from in the chat. Say hi so I know I'm not talking to myself. I'm going to be breaking down in this session how you can build a sales funnel on LinkedIn, why you need to build a sales funnel on LinkedIn, but importantly, what are the mechanics you need to have. So please do jump in, chat, tell me where you're joining from. That's all good. That would be brilliant. I'm just going to make sure the chat's visible on my screen so I can see it all there. And I've got a few slides I'm going to share at the same time, just so that I can see everything's there. So look, when we're talking about creating a sales funnel on LinkedIn, I think probably the easiest thing is, why don't I just define that? So I can see, hi, Alicia from Sheffield there, and I can see Damon and Sharon and Darius and Lee and John and Jonathan Cousins, all familiar faces. So great to see you all here. One of the things that I did a post yesterday, and I was talking about some observations that I see on LinkedIn a lot. The first one I see is people don't have an actual plan. So what they're doing is just making it up as they go along. And that's a recipe for disaster. It really is. I also see people like just literally hoping for the best in terms of, I'll post and see what happens. And as much as I enjoy posting, as much as I enjoy pushing out content, you also have to be honest here. It's not safe or sensible to build a business development function that is reliant on you being seen on a platform that has zero loyalty to you. So, when I'm talking about building a sales funnel, I'm talking about a process that brings people in, nurtures them, and educates them so that they can see the value of what you've got to offer, and drives those people or encourages those people to take the next step. Now, you know, whenever you hear funnels, often people start thinking about things like ClickFunnels. And as much as ClickFunnels is such a clever piece of technology, it's so flipping clever, it's too clever for its own good. And most people spend time with a ClickFunnel trying to figure out, how do I make this thing work? So for most people, what they need is just a simple process that they can repeat over and over again. It's reliable, it's predictable, and it's in their control. And hopefully I don't offend people here, but I'm just going to say what I see, to use the Roy Walker's catchphrase. Hi, Jonathan. There's a lot going on. There is here, definitely is here. Hi, Nick in Scotland. Um, one of the things that I see as like a cardinal sin on LinkedIn, that rhymes, sin, LinkedIn. It's a horrendous issue, is people just being horse whores. Sorry, I'm just going to say it, horse whores. In other words, what they do, and the industries. I will get to the strategy here in a minute, but I just want to kind of lay a scene and set a scene for this. If you go on LinkedIn and you scroll, you'll see people saying, "Here's my success. I've hit my 30K month, and I did it without this, without this, without this, and you can do it too." And I just post content and add value. All of those people, two things. All of those people are doing two things. One, they're doing sales baiting. In other words, they post about stuff to make you want what they've got. In other words, look at how wonderful my world is because I make 30K without trying, or 30K in my sleep. I'm being ridiculous on purpose, but you've seen these posts. And because you want that, that's how they sell it. So in other words, they flex, whether it be their freedom, their lifestyle, sometimes the lifestyle's made up, or they tell you how much money they're making, stuff like that. They flex to make us go, well, why can't I have that, in order to sell what they're selling? So that's basically what they do. They put pictures of themselves on tropical islands, nice beaches, all that kind of stuff. And then you go, I'd love to be able to do that. And then you buy their course. And the problem with that, and this is a very important point. The problem with that is, number one, they are selling something that's a bit hyped. So they're selling something that's over egged. So it gives you a warped perception of what they had to do to achieve success. So immediately when you look at that, you go, wow, I want that. Sometimes I see their stuff and go, I want that. And I know that half of them are broke. I go, I want that. It's like a bit of envy, a bit of jealousy, whatever it is. But I go, I want that. Yeah. And that's the first part. So they sell us a dream. There's nothing wrong with marketing, but they sell us a dream. If the dream isn't true, that's manipulation and lies. But if the dream's true, they're flaunting it to get us to want it. The second part of that is processes, systems, strategies, implementation, taking action. All of that stuff is not sexy. So often what happens is, what you see about how they achieve success on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever is overly simplified. And so you get this, you see this, I see this, and you go, wow. And for $497, I can do that system. Then you buy that system. And now you realize it's not as straightforward as it looks. And this is what I say about course wars. And this is the first stage to being successful on LinkedIn. You have to stop buying things. Stop buying gadgets, stop buying technology, stop getting sucked into different strategies. You have to build one strategy, because so many people go, wow, that looks really great. I want that. But they're not thinking rationally. They're buying emotionally. And then when the rubber hits the road, the work has to be put in to build the system that gives you all of that. They run a mile, go to the next thing and buy the next thing. So I'm not saying LinkedIn has to be hard. Far from it. If you get clarity, it's straightforward. I'm not saying that LinkedIn has to be massively time consuming, because it doesn't. It's only time consuming if you're not focused and you're trying to play the go viral content game and really make that center stage of your strategy, because that does require a lot of time and a lot of investment, and respect to people who do it, by the way. So there is an element of, you've got to be disciplined in yourself to actually build a sales funnel, because you will have to test things to get them to work. I've had to do this many, many times, and I'm continually surprised by how many times people will prefer to spend money to buy another course than do the work. So we need a sales funnel. We need a sales funnel that's predictable. It can't rely on an algorithm, and it has to make our lives easier. It has to bring in leads and opportunities every single week. That's my rules. Now, sales funnels generally, they're massively overcomplicated. I'm convinced my industry wants them to be overcomplicated, because if they are, guess what? They make a lot more money. But I'm going to share my screen in a second, and I want to just go through a couple of different types of sales funnel and how simplistic they can be. And I want to talk about some of the key bits, the components you're going to need to make that work. And it's not many. The biggest challenge you're going to have is not gadgets and technology, it's clarity and it's making some decisions, because you can't build a sales funnel for everybody. The message won't resonate for everybody. You have to think about, who out of all of the people I can serve, who can I get to, and who can I communicate with the easiest? So you have to find who are the best fit, the sweet spot people. And let's say your market is this many people, it might be this many people. Now, I'm not advocating you have to niche down totally. But what I'm saying is, if you want to build a sales funnel, and let's think about it from my point of view. I can help sales teams with LinkedIn. I can help solopreneurs and small business owners with LinkedIn. I can help marketing teams with LinkedIn. There's 3 different groups I can help with LinkedIn. It's very hard to talk to all of those 3 groups, salespeople, business owners, and marketers, and get a message that lands with buying intent for all 3. Like I could do a sales process that get a sales funnel that gets people in. But what really works is if I get people in with some degree of intent. They want to achieve something. They want to gain something. And if I think about the 3 groups I serve, sales teams, they just want prospects, direct calls booked in their diary. That's what they want, really. Business owners will want their thought leadership, their personal branding, maybe a bit more inbound stuff going on. So their message is slightly different. And then the marketing teams, they want brand, they want content impressions, they want followers, they want reach. And so, whilst I can help all 3, I'm not saying I niche to one, because I don't. I don't niche to one. I serve all 3. What I can't do is bring them all into the same funnel and it be reliable and predictable. So, first off, big tip number 1 to get that clarity: who's this funnel for? Because it can't be, I'm going to get all 3 into it. It has to be a funnel for one of them. And I'll give you an example. With marketers, I could target marketers of a certain size in a certain size organization. And I could literally put together a how to build your company page and grow your following as a resource that I give away, pull people into my funnel that I can follow up with. Right? But salespeople don't care about the company page. Salespeople don't care about followers. Salespeople don't care about many of those metrics that matter to marketers. And likewise, business owners, they don't necessarily always consider themselves salespeople. So the language I would use with a salesperson for salespeople and the language I'd use with business owners are just completely different. So that's why we need the clarity. That's why we need to settle a few things, because each of those 3 groups, whilst they want to get good at social selling in one shape or form, one degree or another, the reasoning, the language, the way they want to do it, what really matters for them is completely different. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm not saying niche down. I'm saying understand that as you serve different markets, even if it's the same product or service, their angle is going to be different. People make this mistake all the time and they try and catch all. And then their message, the way they communicate it, all becomes a bit middle of the road. And so the salesperson can't see the value in it for them. The business owner can't see the value in it for them. And the marketer can't see the value in it for them either. So you end up where, trying to appeal to everybody, you appeal to nobody. So that clarity piece is like critical. Then we come to the mechanics. How do we build this and how do we get people in? And I have got some slides here. I'm just going to have to move my screens around because I'm only on one screen today. I'm coming home to the UK in a few days. So I'm looking forward to, I've not seen my wife or family in 3 weeks. But I love traveling. I love speaking and doing all that stuff. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Right, let me just share my screen and we'll dive into this. So just bear with me a second while I do this, and then we'll have a look at this stuff. So we're going to get double vision for a minute. Right, so here's a simple one, and what I'm going to do, hopefully you can see this. I don't really want to put it full screen if I can, because I want to flick to LinkedIn at the same time. So what we want to do, there's kind of three ways to do this, real simple ways that you could do today, right? Real simple ways. So I'm going to pull these up and I'm going to show you how they work. So you probably notice I do a lot of polls. I do a lot of polls on LinkedIn because they're probably one of the easiest ways to start a conversation with somebody. And one of the polls I love to do are what I call loaded polls. Now, a loaded poll is really simple. It's just I'm asking people, what do they really want? Now, it's a simple poll, but it's not simple to construct. And I'm going to walk you through three and give you examples of how that works on my LinkedIn profile. So a loaded poll, its primary objective is to find out what people's challenges are. So that's the first goal. So obviously, if I did a poll saying, do you want to buy my social selling accelerator, yes or no? People aren't going to vote yes for that and buy it for me. Because people buy because they want to solve a problem or gain something. So the common thread from these three strategies I'm going to talk to you about to build that sales funnel is you have to have clarity on an outcome people want. It has to be linked to a pain point, but it's clear outcome people want. Whether that be your business owners, whether that be your marketers, your salespeople, whoever you're targeting, what's the outcome they want? Because I'm going to speak to that and get them to engage in this with me. Now, I'm going to show you how this works in reality and in practicality. And just for a second, by the way, I'll just apologize. Because I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat for a second. And we'll have a look if you've got questions in the chat in a moment, but I can't see it because I'm on my laptop. And for those of you just joining, greetings from Louisiana. It's not my desk. I'm sat in my hotel room in Louisiana, and I wanted to do this. Crazy, I know. It's 7 a.m. in the morning or 7:20 in the morning, but I thought I'd committed to do this. I'm going to do it. So let me just pull up my LinkedIn, and I'll just walk you through how I do it. And there's various different polls you can do. There's polls just to build engagement, but there's polls specifically that you can do to generate leads. And I'm going to have to scroll to find some of these, but you'll notice I'm doing polls to engage people and get people into conversation. Yeah. I'm doing polls to go, I love to see how people vote. No, I struggle with ideas. Now let's just deal with this one for a minute. Now, given I show you can build a sales funnel of polls, I know that sounds silly, but it's true. And you can do this on any platform, by the way. But you can see, do you use polls on social media? Yes, they are awesome, 44%. So that's great. Those people, great. So all the people, the 44% who voted and said, yes, they're awesome. Obviously, I'm going to do this quick because obviously it's real people. But I can see 84 people have told me that they're awesome. I've seen 16 people say they struggle with ideas. There's 44% or 60 odd people who have said they use polls. I can now follow up those people and say, hey, thanks for voting on my poll. See, you love polls. Are they generating leads and are they part of your lead generation platform? And see what they say. And if they say, no, I don't get leads from polls, I can say, do you want me to show you how? And literally show them how to generate leads with polls. The people who struggle with ideas, I can help them too. The 30% and the 18%, the people who find them annoying, I could have a conversation with them, but it is a bit like flogging a dead horse. But you see how that poll gives me an indication that these people are doing them. So I could say, do you want to get leads from them? And the people who aren't doing them or struggle with ideas, I could show them. And in fact, in the Growth Titans membership, we have a whole pro training program on how to do this and what to say and follow-ups, how you message people the work. So you can see how I do it, right? So I've got polls to engage, and I've also got polls to generate leads. And I'm just going to find another one. I've been doing a lot of polls at the moment. When I do workshops, I often demo and put polls up and show people how they work, because some people have never done polls before. And so I've been doing a workshop every day in a different city in the US for 2 weeks, which has been pretty intense, but I've kind of loved it. What's your biggest challenge on LinkedIn? Getting engagement, generating leads, knowing what to post, finding time to do it. I can help all of those 220 voters, because I've asked them what their challenge is, and they've answered it. Now, some of you will be going, oh, Dean, that's all right for you. You've got 70,000 followers. It's easy for you to get engagement on your content. Well, most people never use this button, and go, yeah, you can type in people's names. So you could type in your prospects' names. I'm just using our team here because of privacy and all that stuff. Yeah. No, but most people never do this. Yeah, so I can pick up to 10 people and go, interested in your thoughts on this one. We don't send as a group, that'll annoy people, and just send it to our network. You could do it 10 times, 20 times, send it to 100 people, 200 people. But now you're getting people who are in your network, who are the right people, telling you what their challenges are. And like I said, you can follow up. And you could do a poll a week, or you could be crazy like me and do a poll a day. Really simple funnel and process. And some of you listening to me, it can't be that easy. Can't be that easy. The easy bit is actually putting up the poll and sending it. The easy bit is following up. The hard bit is getting that poll right and putting the work in to go, how do I write this poll so it feels quite casual and relaxed, but also gives me a clue of how I can help them. And most people will be so excited to put the poll out, so excited to do the follow-up, they will not take the time on that bit, which is the bit that makes it work. So what happens is they come up with a poll fast because they're so eager to get to following up and booking the calls and doing all that stuff that they won't put the work in to actually create the poll. I spend more time thinking about the poll and how do I construct it well than actually doing the work and following it up. I'll probably spend a couple of hours thinking about this poll, but this poll could generate me 220 people who want something. Now I have to go through and follow up and convert them. And actually, that's really simple, because it's literally like, thanks for voting on my poll. Spotted you want to get more engagement. Would you be happy to do a call, and I'll look through some of your stuff and show you how to do it. And then on the call, you do that, you give some value, help them. And 9 times out of 10, people will say, so how can you help me with this? What do you do? And they'll actually ask me how I can help them. So you don't necessarily have to go, right, let's book a sales call. Just offer to help. Like, if I go through this list here, right, there's going to be people in here who are not my ideal client. There's going to be people in here who don't fit me. I'm not going to follow them up. I'm only going to follow up the people where I think actually they're a good fit. And so if I get on a call with them and they ask me about my services, that's perfect. That's brilliant. Whether that's 50 or 15, that's brilliant. Most people say to me, like, they go, Dean, I don't need a lot of people. When I get on a call with somebody, it's perfect. It's brilliant. The calls are great. I know how to do the calls. The issue is getting them on the call in the first place. So if you do a poll like this, spend the time actually around their need, do the research, really work on that, put a couple of hours in. I know that sounds ridiculous, putting a couple of hours into a poll, but if it gets you 15 calls, it's worth the 2 hours. It really is. But most people are so excited. So I want to do it now. I want to do it now. They don't think about the question. They don't put the research into the question and then get shitty results, basically. So the eagerness betrays them. So that's the first one. That's a simple one. Anybody can do it. Quick tip, by the way. One of the things you want to do, which will save you a lot of time, just before we go to the next two, I've got next two. I didn't realize, by the way, that's offensive here. Like when back home, when you do it the other way around, that's offensive, but that's offensive here. Forgot about that. One of the things you want to do is audit your own network first, because you have to have ideal clients in your network and you have to know who they are. You have to know who you've got in your network. And most people have no idea. They don't know, they get to put the poll out and then they go, oh, who am I going to send it to? And they have no idea. So I'm just going to show you something that's quite handy to do and audit your network and see who have you got in there that could be a good fit. Because often we don't keep tabs on who's in our network and it just builds up. And then when it comes to like, who have I got? I have no idea. What you can do is go to settings and privacy on the main menu. So me, settings and privacy. And then under data privacy, you can go get a copy of your data and you can actually download your connections list. And when you download them, then you can actually get a spreadsheet, first name, last name, job title, company name, location, LinkedIn profile URL. So if you were going to do that poll, you'd have a list of people's names to put in to send it to them. But you can look through and say, who have I already got? I do encourage people to grow their network and connect with more of their ideal clients. But often people don't realize how many people they have, or worst case, haven't got who fit their ideal client. So going into LinkedIn there and exporting that data can actually be pretty useful for going, who am I going to send this to? Who've I got? Because there's probably people in your network that you don't even know, don't even remember, don't even know exist anymore because at the time. So do the audit. Do an audit of your network. I'd also say at this point as well, the longer people are connected to you, the more open they are to a conversation. So if you did this strategy on brand new connections, it's probably not going to work so well. But if they've seen you multiple times in their feed, maybe you've had some interactions before, they are more likely to engage and vote. So it's not a new connection strategy. It's more grow your network and do this once they've seen you a few times in the feed. Right, just show you another one. So I use this one a lot because it's a real machine, really powerful for me. So what I'll do, again, all the research goes into the title. All the research is in the title. The title has to speak to something my target audience want. And I host a LinkedIn event to deliver value. That's the fundamental part of this, delivering value. So I host an event to deliver the value and help people see the value. Maybe I'll make this one bigger. So you can host the events in various ways. You can host them on your profile. You can host them on your company page. You can host them as audio events. I kind of like them, but I've not done any for a while. You can host them as videos like this. So I will host events like this with an outcome-centric title. People will sign up. I'll invite people and I deliver as much value as I can, because what I've realized, and this was like an epiphany moment for me, is if I think about my LinkedIn expertise and my social selling expertise, people don't buy my expertise for me to tell them something new. And if you think about it, everything that I know about LinkedIn is probably on the internet somewhere. It's already out there. So the information I know about that button and what that button does and how to use that button and how to press that button, that's like everywhere. The issue people have and where my value comes in is I go, if you use that button and that button and that button together and you do it like this, you can get this result. And if my experience doing that, I can help you get that result. So people don't buy into what I do because, oh, Dean, you're going to show me how that button works, information, tutorials. They're buying a process, a system. They're buying accountability. They're buying my expertise in putting that together, because you have to adapt things. Just because you've seen on the internet, you press that button, that button, that button, that button, that button in that order, doesn't mean it'll work. Right? So when you go and implement this stuff, it might not work for you, not straight away. That's where my expertise comes in, of going, well, actually, you need to tweak it here and do that here, and then it will work. And that's why I work with people. I don't just work with people for one-offs. I work with people for a year, because I know I want them to build the systems. I want them to test the systems, find the points of failure, and then actually fix those things and make it run like an engine. That's what I'm about. So I'm quite happy in my events to give quite a lot of information away, because it's already out there. It's already on the internet somewhere. So I do my events, audio, video, company page, profile. I invite my network, and then anybody who comes, I follow up. Anybody who signs up, I follow up and offer to talk more, offer to show them how I can help them build that system, make that system work, and deliver for them. That's what I do. And that's what you can do too. This is particularly important as well. We live in a society now where trust is like horrific, right? It's shot to hell. There's so much fake stuff. There's so much manipulation. It's hard to know what's true anymore. All of that stuff's going on. So one of the advantages of doing these events is it builds massive trust, because people will go, I could do that. They can learn from you. They can get value from you. And it separates you from just everybody else. So it might seem like, oh, I don't want to do that. I love doing them. I was a behind the scenes, sat on the computer guy, sat on a spreadsheet. And then when I realized actually I can help people like this, I was like, this is great. And the people who need my help then will come forward. When I follow up, they'll come forward and say, I want to talk. I don't have to pressure people, because I've got a volume and a process running, a funnel running, that is taking people in who go, these people are interested in that outcome. Out of those people who've signed up, I can move some of those down to a conversation about business. Funnel. That's a funnel. Dead simple. So in a really shockingly bad trust economy now, where fake reviews, fake everything, you know um, uh, people start up a business and call themselves a guru overnight, all that stuff. You got the advantage of doing stuff like this, what I'm doing, and what I'm saying here in this one, is you differentiate yourself. People listen to you, pay attention to you, and they get the measure of you. They go, do I think this person's a bullshitter, or do I think this person's the real deal? You also, the other advantage you get is, from my point of view, this is a filter. Some people doing events filters out the people who just don't get me. Because if I'm going to work together with somebody for a year and help them put all the systems together, and my team are going to support them and coach them and get in there and help them, this is the perfect filter. So you don't end up with like a ball ache customer who's antsy and doesn't get on with you, and you ruffle each other's feathers, and 2 months down the line you end up parting company because you just can't get on with them, or they just annoy you, or whatever. So you can't eliminate that perfectly. Sometimes it even happens to us, but doing these events is a one way to filter. So it builds your trust, builds the credibility, but also it filters out the people who you just wouldn't work with, you wouldn't get on with, because my personality is my personality. I can't change it, and I won't change it just to make a bit of money. I did that in my 20s, and I was like, oh God, it's draining. So events are a great way to do it. And again, it's the same principle. Outcome-centric title. People want the outcome in the invites. They sign up. So I know that on this event, 543 people wanted to know more about that outcome. Out of that 543, some won't be my ideal client, but the ones who are, I'll be following up to set up a time to speak to them and show them how I can help them. Yeah. Now, I will give them some more free value, but as I said with the poll, people will then say, so how can you help me? And they'll literally ask me. And when I go on those calls, I treat it like doctor patient. So I literally go, talk me through what's your challenge, what's frustrating, and I tell them what they need to do, and then say, do you want me to help you kick you at the butt and make that happen and walk you through it and support you through it so that you actually get, and it gets done and it gets working and functioning, and you do it every single week or every single day. So events, brilliant for that. And then this one, I reckon, funnily, right? A lot of people will say to me, I want to do a lead magnet, I want to do a lead. And lead magnets are great. And I'm going to show you one on my profile that works brilliantly for me in a second. And I'll show you how I do it. Lead magnets are fantastic. The downside is most people spend so much time creating this thing and not, again, thinking about what's going to hook people in to download it and access it. So this one here, how Steve closed 4 million in new business on LinkedIn. It's just a simple doc I put together of a client case study, showing them what their problem was, what the challenge was, and how we overcome it, and the process of how we overcome it, with some useful value points in it. So 4 or 5 stages. I keep it simple, not too wordy. People don't read big, long, wordy lead magnets. I turn it into a short doc they can read in about 10 minutes, right? And I build a landing page, and I'm going to show you one that I'm using right now. And simple landing page, people download it and away they go. That's simple. Now, I'm going to talk about this in a slightly different way in a moment, but I'm going to show you one I do on my profile. So let me just go to my LinkedIn profile. And again, sorry if you're asking questions, because I'm sharing my screen, I can't actually see the chat, but I will go through the questions in a second before I wrap up. So here's my LinkedIn profile. And in my LinkedIn profile, I have how to get your first 10 clients on LinkedIn, right? So it's literally step-by-step instructions there on my profile. So sometimes I'll post about it. Sometimes I'll put it as a comment on my posts. Sometimes I send it as part of my thank you note. So I use this in lots of different ways. And again, what most people do is they spend all the time on the doc, no time on the optimization of the landing page or how they're going to get it out. So I've been using this one for a little while. This one converts now about 40%. So 40% of people who see this download it, and I can get about 50% of them onto calls because it's really focused, right? So here it is. It's in my featured section. I put it out as thank you notes with my new connections. I put it out in comments on posts, the works. So in this little guide, and you can go download it off my profile, in this little guide, I actually give you everything because I know a couple of things, right? I'll just get a link so we see what it looks like. Here's my landing page, dead simple, dead basic, not overthought, doesn't go on and on and on. It's literally, there it is, do you want it? And I tell people 4 benefits of reading the guide. Now, this is a big guide because I'm slightly weird, slightly obsessive, and I enjoy making these, so I spend too much time on them. It doesn't have to be this in depth. And so I'm dishing this out on LinkedIn to new connections. I'm putting it on comments on posts. I'm posting about it. I'm doing all sorts of stuff with this. It's in my profile. It's everywhere. So on an ongoing basis, not once, by the way, I'm doing this all the time. Every day, every new connection, I'm giving them something like this. So it's happening constantly. So what happens is people obsess about writing the guide and never think about all of this stuff. Now, this isn't complicated, but I have to really focus and go, what do people really want? And how do I deliver some value for that? So I put this together, and some of you are probably going, Dean, you've literally told people how to do it without you. I've given people a guide and told them how to get the first 10 clients. And some of you will download this and realize, actually, I could use this over and over again. I don't, it's not can use for the first 10, but I could use it for the next 20, 100. Here's the thing. People don't implement. People don't implement. So I give people here all the answers. You just go and do this. Read the book, follow the book, Tweak it as you go for your industry and your ideal client. Tweak it, but just follow it. They won't do it. They won't do it. Think about it, right? Tony Robbins, famous motivational speaker, right? Famous, world famous motivational speaker. He's wrote a book, tons of books. You could buy all of his books. You could probably buy all of his books for less than 200 quid, read them, and get every ounce of transformation that he offers. Yet, people buy the books and still pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to go to his workshops and events. Why? They read the book, couldn't implement it on their own. So they go because they want the real experience. Some people pay him tens of thousands of pounds to personally coach them. He has associate coaches that people pay to go and work with them. But you don't need, you can buy the book. You can get the book, or you can watch his YouTube videos for free. Why? Because people won't be able to translate this fully on their own. There'll be blind spots. Some people will never even read the book. I know that sounds crazy, but you've done this too. You've downloaded stuff and never used it, never read it. But at the time, you thought that would be really useful. This happens all the time. So yes, in one sense, a percentage of people would download this guide and go, this is awesome, I'm away. And some people have messaged me and said to me, literally, Dean, thank you so much. You've just helped me. I've just won a couple of clients. And I'm like, awesome. But I know the vast majority won't do it. They won't do the work. They won't take the action. They won't even read it. So I follow up. Funnel. An asset that draws people in. I give them the asset. They download it. I follow up. Now, you can bolt on the back end an email newsletter and you can nurture people there too, because not everybody's going to convert. But these are three very, very simple ways you can build a sales funnel on LinkedIn. And what it requires of you is total clarity on an outcome you can deliver for people. All three require the same thing. Let me stop sharing so I can bring the chat up. All three need exactly the same. Oh, all three, my voice is going as well. When you talk at 7 workshops back to back, it kind of kills your voice. All three require exactly the same thing. You to have total clarity and build that process and go. And it's literally like, okay, so I'm going to grow my network. I'm going to do a little thank you note and I'm going to share my lead magnet with them. And I'm going to do that every day like clockwork. And then when people download it, I'm going to follow those up and try and arrange calls with them. That's a simple sales funnel everybody can do. You'll have to perfect it, but it works. The poll, exactly the same thing. It works. The events, exactly the same thing. It works. And the weird bit is, some of you will be going, it can't be that simple. It really is, as long as you have total clarity over the message. If you don't have clarity over the message, this is, hard as fuck. It really is. If you can't narrow down who I'm talking to and what their outcome is, it is really flipping hard. Because the message you'll miss the mark on the message. So you'll be sending it a lead magnet out and nobody will be downloading it. Or worse, you pick the wrong thing and you get loads of people download it, but they're downloading it for the wrong reason. And that reason you can't turn into an opportunity in the follow-up. So it's like a totally dialed in process from who am I going after, what matters to them, and how does that link to what I'm going to try and offer them and sell them. That has to be at the front end and the back end, or the top of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel has to be totally aligned. Because if I do an event and the motivation, the reason people came to that event, what they want from that event is different to what they want from working with me, I can't convert them. It's a disjointed and it'll be really difficult, be hit and miss, it won't work. And that is the hardest part. Well, there's another hard part, but I'll talk about that in a sec. That's the hardest part, getting that alignment from top to funnel, top of funnel, getting people in the network, getting them to sign up to bottom of funnel, getting them to actually convert. That is one of the hardest parts. The second bit that's the hardest part is actually you managing your emotions. Because, like, we know, right, marketing and sales is not 100% successful. It isn't. It really isn't. And if you got 20% success, you'd be world changing. It'd be brilliant. It'd be world changing for you. The issue is that, like I said, the course horse statement earlier, and sorry if I'm offending you, but I'm just being truthful, is because you've been seeing so many quick, instant, easy answers, and because actually there's a lot of people, if you rely on referrals, for an example, referrals are the best, right? Referrals are the best. They really are. They're better than anything, right? It's the easiest sell you'll ever have. And if you've had a business where, or you have a business where you get a ton of referrals, that is, in one sense, you're spoiled. And I know that sounds horrible, right? But you're spoiled. They're the best. They really are the best. When I get referrals, it's so flipping easy to convert them compared to following up people in the way that you would do from a sales funnel. But referrals, you can't bank on because you don't know when they're coming and you don't know when they're going to drop in and when they're not going to drop in. So it's a bit like content. Some days you could be flooded and other days it could be, a desert. But referrals are the best. They really are the best. So if you've been kind of like spoiled by referrals, and I mean that in a nice way, because I'd love to be completely spoiled by referrals, like flooded. And we get a lot, but I'd love 10 times more. Actually, what happens is you then compare the referral process to your sales funnel or lead generation. And it goes, why is that so difficult? Why is that so hard? It's because you're used to people instant trust. Andy's recommended you, so I want to know more about it, what it is. It's a bit easier to sell to somebody who's had a personal recommendation. So that emotional bit of, oh, I've got to build this process. And most of those processes, by the way, can be up and running and functioning and effective within 2 weeks, if not less. But you have to put the front end work in and not bypass it because of excitement. Like, by that, I mean, I want to do the lead magnet, so I'm going to do it now. I'm going to write the lead magnet now. And then you think about who's it for? Why do they download it? You do all the kind of strategy work, the important work last. And that's where it goes wrong because our excitement to get it out there, our excitement to get the leads gets the better of us. And we skip all of that stuff. Or we gloss over it. We don't do the work and really ask the tough questions to get those key statements and outcomes that really make it work. So I'm going to take some questions if there are any. You might all have fell asleep because oh no, it's afternoon. It's nearly 1 o'clock back home. I'm going to take some questions. If you've got questions, please put them in the chat. If not, I encourage you to watch the replay of this because I've just give you, like, literally, I've just solved all your problems. If you literally, this is horrific, but if you took this video, I'm going to put it on YouTube as well. So if you want to come back to it, go and look up my YouTube channel. If you went through this step by step and then went to my profile and looked at where I'm doing it, you could put this in place for yourself without anybody's help. You could just follow the process. You could even sign up for my stuff and watch what I do and literally copy it, right? And just adapt it. But for those of you who want to work with me, send me a DM. Send me a DM. I'll tell you about Accelerator, show you how I help you, how I support you, give you the kick up the butt to do it so that when that other stuff comes along that distracts you and stops you taking action, I'll be there to say, come on, let's do this. And when something doesn't go to plan, I'll be there going, this is normal. Let's do this. And when something happens and you celebrate your wins, like I just had an amazing testimonial from somebody who joined our accelerator about a month ago. just closed his first $10,000 client. I'm like, over the moon. I'll be there celebrating with you. We work together, we win together. That's how it works. So look, if you want to ask questions about that, please feel free to message me in the chat. I'm just seeing if there's any more questions. Hopefully I've been quite thorough and I don't need to answer any questions. But go do the work. Go do the work. Hopefully you've seen my intentions here. Yes, I want to pick some people to join my accelerator, but more than that, I want you to do well. I want you to thrive. I want you to prosper, because when businesses prosper, they help their communities. When small business owners, medium-sized businesses really prosper, they employ people, they invest back in their communities, they make a big difference. So that's my little bag. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and say thank you for joining me. If we're not connected or you're not following me, please do. I have a podcast that I put out every weekend, and I talk about stuff in more detail like this. So you can subscribe to that on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, wherever. It's the Mindset Money and Marketing podcast, or Mindset Marketing and Money podcast. Go check it out. Go download. Go subscribe. And you'll hear more of this stuff from me. But you've been wonderful. It's nearly 8 o'clock here in New Orleans. I am going to Halloween in New Orleans. I've never done a Halloween party before in my life, because I came from a very religious background. So this is the first Halloween party I've ever been to in my life. And it's in New Orleans. So I've got very high expectations. Anyway, you've been brilliant. Have a great rest of your week, great weekend. And thank you for all the support on my content. Like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you on LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever.